And at 4 o'clock on your Thursday morning, let's get right to it. Glad you're up with us here on 13 Sunrise. I'm Jalea, along with Karen and Matt this morning, who probably didn't get a lot of sleep. I know that you were up for a while.
Yeah, I did not get a lot of sleep. I heard the tornado sirens going off in the Carmel area last night. And yeah, the storms were pretty insane last night.
Yeah, so we believe we've had multiple tornado touchdowns. Of course, what's going to happen at daybreak is the National Weather Service will start to get the confirmations. But we've been analyzing the radar data and then viewer reports. You guys have been sending in, hey, I've got damage at this location, and those reports really help us out. So this is not, gospel here when we're taking a look at these maps, but these are places where we have seen that debris ball. We could see it in the radar beam. So we had one farther to the south, just outside of Bedford, but then we had this one storm that just kept cycling. We had that likely tornado there in Brownsburg, starting just south of downtown, crossing Green Street, and then headed right towards some of these warehouse districts there towards just past Ronald Reagan. And then over Eagle Creek, possibly maybe cycling again as it got really into Hamilton County, starting just inside of I-465. Possibly we had some reports of some damage, and then even more damage reports once you got into Carmel. Now, were all these connected? Were there different breaks in between? We don't know. The National Weather Service were working on that, but I do want to show you, first thing you're waking up in the morning thinking, okay, who got what? Well, this is just some early information. And then we also had a debris ball that formed in eastern Madison County and kind of wrapped its way north and west, staying outside of Muncie. Here's Muncie, maybe more towards the Bethel and Gaston area for parts of Delaware County. And so that's what we're tracking this morning. So we possibly had some touchdowns, multiple ones across Hendricks, Marion, Hamilton, Madison, and Delaware counties. But then, you didn't have to have a tornado to get damaged. We had wind speeds at times over 80 miles per hour, just straight line winds. We've got a lot of limbs down. We also had flash flooding. You may notice a lot of ponding on the roads as you're headed out this morning. And still just checked 148,000 power outages across the whole state right now. Marion County, 30,000 power outages alone, and you can kind of see the path of where that tornado possibly was kind of cycling. So throughout the morning, we're going to let you know more details as they come in. We're also going to let you know about more rainfall that's on the way, because we've got more weather and possibly maybe more severe weather, Julia, on Friday, something that we'll get to.
All right, see you in just a bit. You just mentioned some of those power outages. Thousands of people are without power right now from those storms overnight. Yeah,
we want to give you a look at the numbers. We're hearing from AES, who is reporting more than 31,000 people are still in the dark.
So over at Duke, that number is more than 48,000 in Indiana. So we are working to learn when they'll have those numbers down and get their customers out of the dark. In the meantime, though, emergency officials want to be clear. Avoid any down power lines and treat them as if they are live and dangerous. We're also working to get more information about possible injuries amidst all of the storm and tornado damage. We do know, however, one woman was trapped after a Brownsburg building's roof collapsed on top of her.
Yeah, it was a scary situation for anyone to experience, and this was last night. We know our Chuck Lofton, he's been on top of the story throughout the night as crews worked quickly to help that woman. And Chuck, good morning to you. Walk us through what you've learned.
Okay, thank you very much, Karen, and good morning. Let's start with where we are. We are at the Sur La Table Distribution Center. It's one of the many warehouses on the northeast side of Brownsburg. In fact, this building sends goods, kitchen goods, to the Sur La Table kitchen stores around North America. At about 9 o'clock last night, strong winds, strong thunderstorms moved through here, and the south wall basically collapsed, along with the roof being ripped off. At that time, there weren't many employees in here. There are only about 15 employees on this second shift. But there were two missing. One was found quickly, but another person, a woman, in this corner of the building was trapped. A lot of damage as the roof fell really on top of her. And as it did, crews were trying to get her out. It took 3 hours for that to occur, but a nearby doctor helped keep her calm.
The whole time, Dr. Nossett from Hendricks Regional Health was in there with her, keeping her calm, assessing her for injuries, and she was conscious and alert the whole time, speaking with him. It was just heavy debris that had fallen on top of her. She happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time, and due to the heavy debris, we also had to call in a few rotators to help lift that heavy debris off of her.
Indianapolis Fire Department Special Operations helped out in getting that lady out. She was taken to a nearby hospital at about midnight. So it was around 3 hours it took for all of this to transpire to get her out. Right now, employees of Sur La Table are here maintaining a sense of security around this area. And ladies, I know the big question is here, were there other businesses that were damaged? The answer is yes. We understand that the John Force Racing team took a hit with some damage at their location, and the nearby O'Reilly Auto Parts distribution center had some damage. Big question. Is this going to hold? Is this building going to hold? And we'll talk about the structural integrity of this building and what officials think coming up in the next half hour of Sunrise.
All right, Chuck, thank you, but glad to hear that that woman is okay and being checked out at the hospital. We're going to check back in with you in just about 30 minutes or so. But we do want to show you some of the other damage in the area as well that Chuck was just talking about.
Yeah, our Alex Almanza took a look at some of the residential areas in Hendricks County.
And here's some video of that possible tornado in Carmel that Matt talked about. Take a look at this.
Yeah.
Hey there, good morning. We're here on the northeast side of Brownsburg in a neighborhood just west of Eagle Creek. And you can see behind me some of the destructive damage that some of those high winds brought here in Brownsburg. In this neighborhood, a lot of neighbors are kind of looking out for each other and making sure that everyone is okay. But for the most part, when we drove up, we saw parts of roofs torn off, even parts of house structures in yards, in the middle of the road, on the sidewalks. The Red Cross is actually out here knocking on doors and making sure that everyone is okay and that they have a place to stay. Other neighbors that we've been hearing also packing up their belongings, making sure that everyone is accounted for, everyone is safe. This is just kind of widespread damage in this neighborhood, and once we kind of get more light, once daylight kind of approaches, we're going to really see the more extensive damage that these severe storms brought overnight. But I'm going to send it back to you in Brownsburg. Alex Almanza, 13 News.
All right, thank you, Alex. Now let's get to some of that video of the possible tornado that Matt was mentioning at the top of the show in Carmel. Take a look at this.
Yeah, unbelievable video. This was taken by Andrew Snyder. He shared what appears to be a tornado, a likely tornado near 116th Street and College. And you can see it moving through the town there. We are still waiting to see what the National Weather Service says about the extent of damage that this brought with it.
And right now we're also checking in for information about if anyone was hurt during this storm. Well, the damage in that Carmel area that you just saw is pretty widespread this morning.
Yeah, our crews were in the area after it hit, and we saw downed trees blocking roads there. Emergency workers and first responders, they were busy trying to clean up streets and get things moved for drivers.
And multiple buildings and structures were hit. This is buildings along 3rd Avenue that had some extensive damage here. This is where the Carmel Old Town Old Antique Mall is. So residential areas, they were not exempt from this. They also got hit pretty hard too.
Yeah, and this was sent in to us by a viewer near 116th Street and Pennsylvania Avenue in Carmel. Of course, tree limbs are down, damage to so many homes there. We are working to learn if the extent of this, basically how bad it was there. Anna Chalker, she will be in this area and around Noblesville to learn more. That's coming up on 13 Sunrise.
Well, viewers are helping us explain the scope of these storms when they hit.
Yeah, and so many of you have sent us, pictures and videos to show how it affected your neighborhood. Ryan shared this photo with us showing lightning in Fortville.
And then this picture on your screen is from Miranda in Greenwood. Those ominous clouds in Johnson County yesterday. Just always remember to be cautious when you're out snapping pictures and video during a storm like we saw overnight. And then take a look at this. Multiple vehicles submerged in high waters. This is on Indy's southeast side. This area floods pretty often when we have heavy rain. This is Southeastern and South Sherman Drive just before midnight overnight. IMPD says no one was inside any of the cars when they got there. We're expected to get even more rain, so flooding is still a risk in this area. Metro Police say don't put your vehicle or your life at risk by driving into water, especially when you don't know how deep it is.
And we also want you to know that when major weather hits Indiana, our meteorologists are on air and online. They want to make sure you and your family are safe.
We know that a lot of you want to monitor the storms along with them on WTHR.